This
there
conference will now be recorded.
in the /lib variables here, binary utilities, mount point for the file system. We can put in the MNT, temporary files, and so on like that. Okay. Right. So, any questions at this point? We are good to move to the lab session then.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Let's. I hope you guys have the uh, AWS account set up. I guess it's pretty simple. Or just let me walk through how to create an AWS account. So you just have to go to AWS Management Console and click here. So right now I'm already logged in. So you need to have a login setup. If you don't have an account, you can go and create a free account here like this. In there you have to give in the details and the credit card or debit card details to verify a genuine user. And once you provide those details, your free account will be activated. Okay, so let me see that. So you'll be going on to, yeah, this is, you can either sign in or you can um, sign up for a new account. This is sign into the console. Okay, I'll leave that exercise of signing up to the Amazon cloud. Let me sign in. Already have the sign in here. I'll go and sign into this account. Okay, so this is how the management console looks like. There are a lot of services that we have here. Okay, um, right from the compute, where we can compute the instances, EKS, ECS services, Lambda services, Beanstalk, image builder, a lot of services available here. Machine learning, blockchain, storage, EFS, S3 bucket, all of these can be made use of. Database services also are there here. Redshift, RDS, things like that. Okay. In the networking part, we have the VPC, CloudFront Route 53 as a DNS API gateway is there. Direct connect. Say, for example, you want to connect your on-premises infrastructure with the cloud infrastructure, then we have the option to go with the direct connect. Okay, so these are all the options we have here. Out of these, we'll be interested. Like there are, say for example, if you want to go for some kind of a AWS certification, then it covers all of these services there. Certification, there are couple of certifications that are available from AWS. AWS certification, sysops. So this is this is how the AWS certification looks like. So we can go with the AWS certified solution architect. Um, then we have AWS certified sysops administrator, a developer and DevOps engineer professional. So based on so we can get started with the sysops administrator if at the very basic level, or you can take the solution architect option as well, associate or the solution professional level here. So based on the interest, so these say, for example, if I go the sysops, it's talking about how we deploy, manage, make available highly scalable applications and fault tolerant systems. The tools involved here, like preparation guide and all details are given here. So we can get started with those details. So basically, it covers. If I go back to the services again, let me sign into the console. So you are aware of any of the services you heard about any of the services in AWS, or it's completely new for you guys?
It's completely new.
Oh, all right. What about Puja? You heard about any services in AWS?
Um, I just tried practicing on the I mean, like the console using the Amazon account, but I'm not really very familiar with any of those.
All right. If that is the case and you guys want to learn more about AWS, then I would suggest that you go with one of the certifications and
Okay.
try to learn more about the services that AWS provides. So that way you'll get to understand what are the main services. But in our case, as far as
Mhm.
DevOps is concerned, we'll be mostly working with the EC2. Say suppose you get a project where it's everything set up on AWS, then mostly you'll be using Elastic Beanstalk, where we just have the package code package, and we provide it to the Beanstalk. It will deploy everything on its own. Okay, so the Elastic Beanstalk is there, Elastic Container Services, and so many are there. Out of this, let's look at the EC2 first. Okay, so this is where we are interested in creating a virtual machine, and that virtual machine will be using for our labs as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a virtual machine. Okay, so right now this is how the new dashboard looks like. EC2 dashboard. We have here how many instances. Okay. What are the images? Okay, so before we jump on to the instances, let's have a look at the AMIs. AMI is the Amazon managed image that we have. Let's go and search for images here, AWS Marketplace. Okay, so these are all the images that are available from the marketplace, which we can select and get started to use them. Okay, we can select the operating system like Windows or Unix or Linux. Say for example, I want an image of CentOS, so I can go with the Linux images here. Okay, or let's say I want to go with Ubuntu, so these are all the images available here. Okay, so I go back here and this is all the images list I have. So for this, I go with the instances and say I want to create a new instance. Launch an instance. Click on launch an instance. Okay, so it'll again come back to this AMIs here. So you can click on the My AMI, and let's say I want to go with an Ubuntu image. So I'll hit an Ubuntu. Okay, there are some in the quick start as well. Okay, so these are the servers that is available. The latest one is 18.04, 16. So we can select the 16 one. And make sure that you're only selecting the free tier eligible servers for now. Otherwise, since you would have provided your credit or a debit card to create an when you are signing up, right? When you're creating your login and the username, that make sure you're selecting the free tier. Otherwise, it is chargeable. So they're going to charge for all the usage, hourly usage you do for the these servers. If you select the rest of them, then you will be charged on your credit card or debit card. So make sure you're going with the free tier eligible and select this option. Even here you can see there are different combination of instances that we can select. So right now we are selected the free tier eligible. It's a general purpose category. It's a one CPU, one GB of memory, EBS storage is there. Network performance is low and moderate. So based on the use cases, so we can go on selecting. Even in the general purpose, we have got like T2 micro, then we have got T2 small, medium, large. Based on the use case, we can go the CPU and the memory required, we can select it. But in our case, we just go with the free tier eligible T2 micro. So you might hear that frequently that what type of instance you're using. So this is what they'll be talking about: T2 micro, T2 nano, small, medium, large, and these are the general purpose instance types they might be discussing about whenever you hear about the instance type. Okay, general purpose. Okay, there are a lot of them. Okay. So you get to choose between what type of application or what is the requirement. Based on that, we can select the instance type and go ahead with that one in the real time. Okay, so getting back to the instance here, the free tier is a default selected, so we'll go with this. Go with the next option here, configure instance details. So this is right now I'm going with the single instance, keep it as default one. We'll come back to this networking part later on. We'll try to understand what is a VPC, what is a subnet, and things like that. So let's keep it as a default now. And then IAM roles. So this is very core to the AWS, that identity access management. So this is the roles that we create to provide the authentication and the authorization as to which users has access to what resources on AWS. Okay, in once you create an AWS login and username, so you'll have an account created for you. So based on that account, you can decide. Let's say you are on a developer group, and you should be only given access to the AC2 instances that we are creating right now and some database, and in only one particular region. So we have got regions here, like lot of regions are there: US East, West, Asia Pacific, Canada, Europe, Middle East. Lot of regions are there. Now when we say regions, these are all the data centers that AWS maintains. The servers you can create in any one of these regions based on, let's say you are working from India, you can select like Asia Pacific, so that your traffic, your request latency is very less. So based on that, you can select the region here. Okay. So IAM role basically it provides what kind of authentication you have, on which regions you can create an EC2 instance, or what type of resources you have access to. Okay, so you can define that, because you don't want to give, as a developer or as a testing, you don't want to give access to the complete resources on AWS. That's a security breach. So you need to, as a administrator or as a DevOps administrator, we only provide project based how many resources and to what region we are restricting the user to that level there. So that's the IAM role that we can use here. Okay, so right now we don't want to right now it's none. You can create IAM role, so it automatically creates a IAM role and it assigns to this instance. So let's go and do that, or you can leave it as a blank for now. But when you try, you can select create new IAM role. So that will create IAM role and assign it to the instance here. Okay, so in here we have got like what is an IAM role is. You can go and create the users, groups, roles, policies. Policies is like what type of access that user will have. So you can go and explore more on this. I'm not going to get into the details here. So you go and explore what is an IAM role and assign it later on when you try to do that. Okay, so for now, let's keep it as none here. Shutdown behavior, we want to stop it or terminate. Terminate means when we are no longer using the server, you want to terminate it completely, then we can go with the terminate option, or leave it as blank. The default option is stop. Let's keep it as stop there. And rest of the options, we will just go with the storage. Leave it as it is. Storage is default. In the free tier, we have up to 30 GB available. So you can go and extend it to, let's say, 20 GB. Volume, let's be it as a general purpose SSD is okay. So we are done with this. We'll go with the add tags here. So tag you can add like you just want to mention what type of a server it is, for example, and you want to get the name as Ubuntu, something like that. Okay. Next we go to the configure security group. Now this security group is it's basically it's on a very granular level. So we are giving a security access to the servers, right? So we can either go and create a new security group, or we can use an existing one. So what this does is you can open the ports here, like what type of protocols you want to work with, like SSH. We want to connect to this server using SSH. And by default, I think HTTP is not enabled. HTTP and HTTPS we can enable here. Okay, and usually this is the default IP addresses that will have access to this server. So in organizations, it doesn't work like this. So we have to give the specific range of IP address who will have access to these servers. So there is another security aspect that we have to take care. But for this lab purpose, and this is a free tier, so we can leave it as it is. But this is the IP6, IP4. So usually we give the IP range who will have the access to this kind of server, right? So for now, let's go with this default. So you can customize it anywhere, any IP, my IP. You can only say only my IP give access to this one. And we usually go with this kind of protocols. We'll discuss more about the TCP protocol and in more details about that in the coming sessions. But for now, let's go with these options, HTTP, HTTPS. But there are other options we can select, like different protocols are there. POP3 if you want to go to SMTPS, MySQL, database, Redshift, PostgreSQL. So these are all the options that we have here. Okay. And finally, see, this is a warning also it's saying here. So this will allow all the IP addresses to access your instance, which is not at all recommended. So we only need to allow the user group, which is a certain user group IP addresses. So that we'll see how to provide, how to define a subset, of IP addresses which will have access to this server. Okay, so that we'll see in the networking part, where we'll try to understand what is a virtual private cloud, how do you go and create a subnet, how do you read a subnet, and things like that. Okay. Let's go with the last option here of review and launch. So this will give like a summary page. Okay, you can go and if you don't want to make any changes, you can just view what all changes it will have. Storage that you selected, tags that you selected, and finally click on the launch option. Okay, so the way we connect to the server is based on a key pair, like public and the private key connectivity. So it will ask you to select a key pair, or you can go and create a new key pair. Let's go and create a new key pair. It'll say AWS new Ubuntu, and let's download the key pair. So it will be downloaded as a PEM file, which is a combination of both public and the private key. So let's save it now here. Okay, it has been downloaded. Now let's go. So we would need a putty gen, a tool called as putty gen, to extract the private key from the PEM file. So we'll go with this putty key generator. So you can go and download this putty key generator. We'll load that file now here. AWS. Yeah, this is the PEM file. Select it here. So it has successfully extracted the private key. So we'll save the private key now. So give it a name like AWS Ubuntu key. So this private key is having an extension of PPK. So we'll select it's defaultly selected as PPK. So we'll save it now. Okay. All right. So any questions till this point?
No.
Okay, is this pace right enough? We are going fast, slow. You're able to understand? Let me know, like if I can just slow down and explain in more detail, or just stop me if you want to know more about. If you have any questions in between as well.
Yeah, yeah, fine.
All right. Okay, so once we downloaded this, let's go and connect to this. So we are on a Windows machine, so we need a client like Putty client to connect to this server. Or if you're having a MacBook, you can just directly go and connect to that directly. So we will say launch instances for now. It would launch the instance, and then we'll see the option how we can connect to this server. So it would take some time to launch. You can click on the view launch log, or we can simply go with the view instances. You can see that the instance will be creating here. So right now it's in a pending state. You can see the details as well here, like what is the instance ID. We have selected the instance type. State is all pending. IP address, will be getting the IP address. This is a VPC ID, subnet ID. Okay, it'll take some time. In the mean, okay, it's created now. Now let's look at the option how we can connect to this server. Let's click on the connect. So we can connect to this instance using Putty here as SSH client if you're using a Windows machine. Or let's say you are having a Mac OS, then MacBook, you can simply go with this option. You already have the PEM file that we downloaded, and this is the default username. This is the DNS name that we have. So you can directly connect if you're on the MacBook. If you're on a Windows machine, you need to download Putty and install it first. So once it is installed, you can go to the Putty client. Okay. So we will select Ubuntu is a user. We need the IP address. Just a minute. So this is the public IP address that we need. Just we'll copy this. We will go to our Putty client. Okay. So we'll give the name as Ubuntu. This is a username at the IP address, public IP. And let's go to the SSH option authentication. Here you can go and select the private key that we have just extracted. AWS. Just let's see the modified. It will be there in the download somewhere. Yeah, this is the AWS Ubuntu key we have selected, right? So just choose the private key here and then go back to the session. Yeah, given the username as Ubuntu. How do you know it's a name as Ubuntu? So if you go to the connect option here, you will be provided with the username here. So this is a username, default username that is created. User, basically user that is created on the server, and we'll be connecting with that default user. Either you can go with this one, fully qualified name, or you can select the public IP address. This is the public IP address. You can copy this and you can connect with that one. So this is the username and the public IP address. The port we are using is the 22 port and SSH connectivity. We are connecting via secure shell protocol. All right, so let's go with this option. So it will ask a security alert. So SSH fingerprint. Yeah, we trust this host. So let's say yes. And now we'll be authenticated and we are now connected to the server. So you can change the settings. If you don't like the background, you can go and change it. You can change the font as well. Okay, now it looks like white. Yeah. So you have now successfully connected to a Linux machine on AWS. Okay, so this is how you can spin up a virtual machine, EC2 instance in AWS, and using the client putty client, now we are able to connect to this virtual machine. Now you can start typing in the commands, like if you want to list anything, you'll be able to see the files here. Um, you want to see what directory you are there. So right now you are logged in as a Ubuntu user. So it's a home directory. You'll be created a folder with the username here like this. Okay. So we'll try to understand more about the commands in the coming sessions. We'll go on the networking side as well. Also, we'll go and create a similar instance in Google Cloud as well. Okay. So I leave it as an option, like uh, you can either go with AWS, it's a free tier eligible, or Google Cloud also has got a free tier eligibility and $300 of usage. So we'll create an account in Google Cloud as well. In the next session, we will spin up an instance in Google Cloud and we will go from there. We'll try to understand the Linux commands and we'll learn a little bit of the networking part, which is essential for the DevOps perspective, and we'll go from there. Okay, so any questions to this point?
No, good.
All right, I'll give back, I think almost 12, 13 minutes are there. So let me know if the space is good enough, you guys are able to understand, or I need to be more fast or a little slow. Just let me know based on if you're um, able to understand, grasp the things or not. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Videsh, actually, we are also, I mean, like, I'm also expecting if you can actually explain us how exactly the tools we work, what kind of tools we use on forehand before we start with all these sessions, like say Sprint or JSON, or what are the uses of these tools and all.
Um, okay, can you repeat the question, please? Because you're saying in DevOps, what are the tools we are going to use? That
Yes,
is the
I
question,
mean,
is it?
like, yeah, I mean, like, once we start with our work or once we are at the desk, what kind of tools we use for this DevOps, like
Okay.
Sprint and all. Yeah.
Yeah, I got your question. So basically, okay, the tools in the sense you'll be working on the um, Linux in the sense Linux servers. You will be most of your servers will be Linux, where you'll be connecting to the servers. Oftenly, you'll be connecting and running in the commands. You might be working on the scripting part usually. Um, and other tool is Jenkins, is the popular tool that we have, is a build tool, build and a deployment tool that is widely used, Jenkins. Then we have got Ansible, which is a configuration management tool. And then finally, we have the containers, Docker containers, and Kubernetes. How do you set up, how do you orchestrate those containers? We'll be going with the Kubernetes. And if time permits, I'm thinking to even include Terraform,
Mhm.
which is again you can use Terraform to create like we created the EC2 instance here, right? So we
Okay.
can write
Yeah.
a piece of code which will once we run that code, it will automatically go and create these instances on AWS. So that is Terraform is widely getting used and popular nowadays because it has flexibility and it can work with different cloud providers. Okay, when I say different cloud
Okay.
providers, AWS has its own templates like cloud formation templates using which we can create the infrastructure like this. It can be EC2 instance, database, networking, anything, for example. So AWS, it is only specific to AWS, but when it comes to Terraform, it can work with AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, DigitalOcean, you name any of the cloud providers, it has the flexibility and the resources which we can use and write a piece of code in a JSON format, and then we can reuse it as and when required. So Terraform, I'll try to introduce basically what Terraform is, and we'll go and create some AWS instances so that we'll get a hang of what Terraform is. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah, so we'll go with Linux. Git, we'll try to understand Git because that is the repository we'll be working with. Git commands we'll be working with, and then Jenkins, we'll go with the pipelines. Ansible, how to use the configuration management tool, and Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. So this is the plan we have.
Okay. And end of the session, can you share us with all the, like daily schedule, so we can just have a look before we.
Yeah. Sorry for that delay. I had the old document, so I need to
Okay.
update it with the Kubernetes and Terraform details into that, and I'll forward it across to you guys. Okay.
Okay. Thank
Uh,
you.
yeah, just sorry for the delay, but yeah, at least you'll have a reference to what is going to come in the next sessions. I need to update that. I have to send it across. Maybe I'll do it today or by tomorrow. I'll send it across to Balu, and he'll be forwarding it to you guys then. Okay.
Okay.
Um. All right. Any other questions? I think this is
No.
pretty much what they are expecting from a DevOps guys. These are the popular tools that you need to know, and that should be sufficient. If you understand these tools and learn it, you should be able to get started to work as a DevOps engineer. Okay. All right. Think so. If you don't have any questions, then we will end the session today. Um, Probably tomorrow, Wednesday. Okay, tomorrow we'll go as usual. Maybe we'll extend a little bit tomorrow, like 1.5 hours, because Thursday I don't think so. I'll be off. I have a function to attend, so from Thursday I'll be off. So again, we will be connecting back probably on Monday. So if possible, tomorrow I'll extend based on um, how we are understanding things. Maybe we'll stop at 1 hour, or if you want, we can extend to 1.5 hours, and we will wind up tomorrow. Okay, and then
Okay.
we'll connect back on Monday. All right. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Then we'll talk tomorrow
All right.
at the same time.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.